Our speaker today is Paul Longgrear. He's got just a long 2-page list of his great things that he's done, but I'm just going to read one quick paragraph. His Silver Star was awarded for his historic action during the Battle of Longgrear, a very remote special forces outpost near the demilitarized zone and the border of Laos and North Vietnam. On the evening of 6 February 1968, during the Tet Offensive, Longgrear was overrun by an overwhelming North Vietnamese Army infantry and armor force. During the ensuing 2-day battle, First Lieutenant Longgrear personally knocked out 2 Russian tanks. I didn't even see a tank over there, so that's amazing. Just outstanding. And eliminated several enemy soldiers, performed numerous other acts of selflessness and heroism. Out of a force of 24 American Green Berets, Paul was one of 14 to survive. So it's my honor to introduce Paul Longgrear, former colonel, and just a great man out of Pine Mountain, Georgia. Paul.
Well, first off, thank you very much for allowing myself and Secretary of the organization to come today, Rick White. I don't know if you're aware of how great your reputation is in the state of Georgia. In going around speaking, I've already had 3 people ask me if I'd been here. And I said, no, but I'm trying. So I appreciate the opportunity. I really do. I love veterans, and that's what I'm here to talk about. To pick up on what's been read, on 6 February, about 2300 hours, the TA-312 in my sleeping position rang. I picked it up. A kid named Nick Frago said, "We've got tanks in the wire." That began a battle that ended the following day at about 1500 hours. During that battle, we lost 10 men killed. We had 3 men that were POWs and 5 who were MIA. We recovered 3 sets of the remains. Now, as a first lieutenant, that's pretty rough on you to go into battle with that many and lose all that. You know, you kind of question your leadership and dedication and everything. But I survived that. Myself and one of my men in the mobile strike force actually made it out alive. In the years since, we've gotten together, a few of us that did live, and we've had, of course, a few of them die since, just from old age or maybe wounds or something like that. But a year ago, I had a real blessing. I was nominated and selected for induction into the Arkansas Military Veterans Hall of Fame. I'll be honest with you, I'd never heard of it. I didn't know there was such a thing. Friend of mine I went to high school with nominated me, and I was selected. On the way home, this was a very humbling experience. I cannot express how humbling an experience this was. And I've had other accolades, and I'm thankful for that. I appreciate my kids and my grandkids being able to look at something. But they really never meant that much to me until I got this thing. And so I'm reflecting on this on the way home, and it really had an impact on me. And so I got to thinking about one of the guys whose remains are still missing, a kid named Jim Holt. Jim Holt knocked out the first 2 tanks in that battle with a 106. He was a medic, and then he began to treat the wounded, and in defending his medical bunker, he actually knocked out another tank with a light anti-tank weapon. Jim's remains have never been found, and Jim was from Arkansas. And I said, that's it. I can nominate Jim Holt for this honor. And so I'm doing that. I'm in the process. I've gathered all the information. I'm dealing with his family. He had 2 daughters when he was killed. His wife, of course, has since remarried. His brother is still angry because we can't find his body, but he's an American. He served himself. And so they're cooperating with me, and we're looking forward to that banquet of when that's done, because that will be the closure that a funeral would have done if we could have brought his remains home. And so in dealing with that, I was kind of starting to feel good about myself. Well, I did something good, but it still didn't fill the void that I got when I was being honored. And then I began to think, well, wait a minute. All these guys, other guys that I know, I had a second tour in Vietnam, and just kids. In fact, one of them was from Atlanta, was killed shortly after I turned over my command. And by the way, you honored him a number of years ago as a local kid here in Atlanta. And I got to think about these guys, and I thought, you know, I live down here close to Fort Benning, and I walk around amongst the Rangers. They kind of adopted me and let me shoot with them and stuff like that. I'm an old Ranger, and they think I was a good Ranger, but I was a Ranger. And, you know, it's living legends and all that stuff. And I'm used to seeing guys with all kinds of lettuce on their chest, you know, silver stars and stuff like that, because we got some great kids in the Army today. Wonderful kids in all of the military. They're fabulous. They're unbelievable. Very respectful to the old guys that hang out down there and really honor us in many ways. And so I'm used to seeing all this stuff. And all of them have jumped out of airplanes, you know, upside down, backwards, and got badges for it. Bit the head off of worms after jumping off of a Foot Locker. And you know, they got all this stuff. But when I was back in Arkansas, here was these guys, two of them were from my hometown, who were older than me. I had no idea they were a hero. I had no idea they'd even been in the military. Guys get out and they go back home and they become judges and lawyers, and they work for the FBI, and they paint houses and they drive buses, and you know, just they're people. But you know, if it wasn't for the veterans of the USA, there would be no USA. I honor you. I don't want you to forget who you are. You're the type guy and gal that made America what it is today. And one of the things that I want to do is I want to honor veterans, the ones that are still alive and even those that have deceased. And we're doing this through the Georgia Military Veterans Hall of Fame. We're looking for guys, probably some in here could easily qualify for this Hall of Fame. But we're looking for a diversity so that we can have enlisted kids. On our board, we have a specialist from the Army and a staff sergeant from the Air Force. And we have a Navy captain. And so we're just looking for veterans. And of course, we need help. We need money. My dream is to bring those guys here. And I saw a lot of those people in Arkansas, they didn't have a lot of money, but it was a big thing for their family. And somehow they got enough money to get the whole, one guy had like 17 family members there. This is a big deal to civilians, to guys who don't ever get recognized, don't get honored. And so we're looking for money, of course, but we're also looking for nominations. We can't have a Hall of Fame if we don't have nominations. And so I've given you a brochure. We have a website. It's www, and I think it's on there, .gmv for Georgia Military Veterans, HOF.org. And please go on there and consider doing something for veterans. I know that y'all do great things for others, and that's very impressive. You honestly don't know your reputation, I promise you. I was not aware of this organization until I started speaking. And at 3 of the places I spoke, they said, have you been to Atlanta, Vietnam veteran? I said, not aware of it. Your reputation precedes you, but you need to recognize some of your own also. I would encourage you, maybe put together a 3 or 4 man committee and begin to look into finding guys to nominate for this. And then get you know, grandpas and uncles and cousins and next door neighbors, because we need nominations. We're going to try to put in 15 a year. And there's 3 categories. You know, a lot of heroes get recognized, but a lot of guys who do service. For example, one of the guys in service inducted with me in my class in Arkansas was a former governor. He had spent 4 years as a Marine. You know, we all have closet skeletons. But he overcame that and became a senator in the state for about 32 years, and then he was the governor to finish out his career. He was put in for service. He wasn't an award, didn't have an opportunity to be a hero in any way. So, and then another one, a guy had come up with a number of ideas that saved the Air Force hundreds of thousands of dollars, and so we have an achievement category. You know, those guys, they get a little, you know, attaboy, and maybe a $100 prize or something like that, and that's it. But we want to recognize any veteran that's done anything exceptional. And so we encourage posthumous, we accept any nomination, and then it will be that the board of directors, I have a little experience being inducted into halls of fame. Sometimes it's political, just to be honest with you. This one is going to be totally non-political because the board of directors have no vote on who goes in. Each one of us will select an individual who doesn't know the other individuals. And we will sequester them in a place somewhere, and we have a scale, a grading scale, and the top 15, if we have that many nominees, and we're hoping we will this year, the top 15 will be inducted. And it doesn't matter if they were Marines or privates or generals or females, whatever. It doesn't matter. And so this is going to be above board, straight across the line. You know, one of the guys called me, he said, somebody's offered me a substantial amount of money if I can insure him his uncle get in. I said, go ahead and lie to him. Get the money, dude, then run. You know? Tell him to call me, I'll deal with it. But I told him, I said, just explain to him you have no control over who gets in or who doesn't get in. And so this thing is above board. It's a nonprofit. We've already been proclamated by the Senate. Senator Harbison, who is the Veterans Affairs chairman for that committee in Senate, he got us recognized. And so we're doing everything we can to deal with individual veterans, much like you're doing with services and banquets and stuff like that. And so we hope that we can partner with you. We hope that maybe you'll put us in a little niche somewhere in your organization and say, let's support these guys. They're trying to do their best. Okay. The only thing that let me kind of make sure here. We invite you to our banquet. We have not decided on a place yet. We've also been asked almost every when we went to the Senate and the House. The first thing they did was said, are you after money? And I said, we don't want to mess this up. We don't want any money from the government. No state money, no federal money. So we turned it down. And that made them much more friendly toward us. So, there's only so much to get around, and they're taking all they can get, you know. So it's no offense if you're in politics. It's just personal feelings. The only other thing that I would say is Jack Dellashaw, if you'll see me after this, please, I need to talk to you. Are there any questions? How much time we got?
We got plenty.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a physical location for this, or will you?
The question was, do we have a physical location? As of yet, we don't have anything to put in a physical location. We're in negotiation with this. North Georgia College has shown an interest. The Infantry Museum at Fort Benning has shown an interest. The Twin Towers next to the Capitol has shown an interest.
It's not fully built.
Right. Yeah, where your memorial's out front. By the way, that blew me away when I saw that. You guys, fabulous. That's a great organization. Okay. Send money. Yes, sir.
Can we nominate KIAs?
Nominate.
KIA.
KIA? Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Posthumous. Anything like that. Yes.
Category, what qualifies as Georgia veteran?
Well, valor, service, and achievement.
But he's got to be born in the state.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Very good. The category, the reason it's Georgia Military Veterans Hall of Fame is, one, you have to have a DD-214. It's amazing how many people don't have one that were heroes in the war. So the DD-214, honorable discharge, you cannot be convicted of felon or have anything less than an honorable discharge. And also you must be from the state of Georgia. That means either born here, entered the military from here, or have lived here for 10 years. And so, is anything else? Okay, so that's, I mean, it's fairly simple. and have some kind of write-up, either a Silver Star, of a DSC, some sort of a service, great service experience, or achievement experience. So we've tried to touch everybody, give everybody a chance. Any other questions?
Let me give you an example. Another example Paul mentioned is service. Ran across an individual that served in the Coast Guard for 4 years, never went to war. Was it during the Vietnam era, became a fireman for 40-something years, has a list of lives saved, longer than your arm. And so the question was, does this individual qualify? I said, yeah, I think so. So that's just an example. So just don't get focused on, hero awards. Of course, we want the people that have got those kind of achievements and valor and so forth. But
Yes, sir.
But open it up to service and achievement.
Is this Vietnam era? Or
Oh, no, sir. No, sir. This, someone asked me, said, what about the Revolutionary War? I said, if they were from the state of Georgia, we're good to go. And if they can prove that they owned the farm where Georgia came, as far as I'm concerned, they're good to go. But we cover it all. Because they've been heroes in every war. Okay, any other?
one personal about you now. They've done a movie about the battle you were in Nam.
There have been 3 documentaries. One of them was Special Forces Stories Untold. That's probably the best one. There have been a couple of books, now the Silver Stars. In fact, Jack has a copy of it, asked me to sign it. Tanks in the Wire. This was a big battle. This was amazing. Johnson was awakened and said they brought tanks into the war. It was a big deal. It scared the Pentagon and everybody else. Kind of scared me a little bit too. Someone said they'd never seen a tank. I can describe one for you if you'd like me to.
I'll put it in the proximity of Quezon.
This camp was 8 kilometers from Quezon, right on the Laotian border. It was overrun in April of '67, and the way the military thinks, they moved it closer to Laos. It was a northwestmost camp, and the movie that they made, they took my family and me to Vietnam. The name of the movie is what's the name? Huh? Man Left Behind. Yeah, Man Left Behind. I'm kind of embarrassed about that. So but that's the name of the movie, Man Left Behind. Good question. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
On line phase, there was actually 4 tanks that had attacked, and did you get them all? We were on your radio frequency that night, and I can remember hearing some of the guys tell about how somebody knocked one out with a law, and we were very excited because we never knew a law would actually knock out a tank.
Well, yeah, that's what I used. That's all I had was a law. There were 16 tanks. It was a tank battalion. They attacked with 16 tanks. We weren't sure how many there were because a lot of them self-destructed. The North Vietnamese were not really advanced tankers. But 11 of them actually made it up to the perimeter. Jim knocked out the first 2 they were about 300 yards away. And then, of course, the laws would only fire so far. They came in. And according to the North Vietnamese Army Historical Association, we either destroyed or damaged 11 of the 16 tanks. The guys were great. They fought unbelievable. It was the most amazing thing. Of course, I made it out alive, so I'm very proud to have been there. But I wouldn't trade anything for the experience to see American GIs. And these were kids Spec 4 and up. There was a lieutenant colonel there, and we all went into tank killer teams, and the kids were amazing. They were just amazing at how they fought. And that's why I want to honor veterans. Yes?
How many rough puffs were with you up there?
How many rough puffs? We had no rough puffs. In Special Forces, we had what was known as CIDG, the Civilian Irregular Defense Group. They were local people, Brew Montagnard, that worked for the camp. I had PRE, HRE Montagnards. We had all Montagnards. There were no Vietnamese except for the Vietnamese Special Forces A team. And one of them actually was as heroic as anybody I've ever seen, very much so. I don't have time to tell the whole story, but he actually came and got us in a Jeep during the battle, right after the battle.
Welcome home, Field Special Forces, been trained. That's simple.
Hua. Thank you. You too. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Do you have any
comment regarding the support or lack of support from Quezon and the huge rift that developed between the Army and the Marine Corps all the way up going to...
Well, I'm trying to get money here. Let me say this. Colonel Lowndes, the 26th Regimental Commander, had a quality decision to make. Militarily speaking, he made a good quality decision. We called him on the radio and said, where's the reinforcements? We're waiting on the reinforcements. We've got them right where we wanted, surrounding us. And there were literally 8 of us left alive inside of the TOC, and we were fighting for our lives. Navy guys, hold your hand up. God bless you and the A1s from the Coral Sea. They saved our lives. I mean, really, it was bad. And again, I don't have time going to. But anyhow, after some guys trying to get to us that had gotten out in the night trying to fight their way to us were wounded and killed. In fact, Eugene Ashley was awarded the Medal of Honor trying to save our lives. 2 guys with him, 2 E5s, no, 1 E4 and 1 E5 were both messed up pretty bad. And when Captain Willoughby, who was the A-Team commander, I was a Mike Force commander, so I was there supporting him. When he called Colonel Lowndes finally on the radio, when they got the radios working again, Colonel Lowndes said, well, Captain, you don't understand. There's only 8 of you left alive. I would lose more Marines than that trying to rescue you. You are written off. And now, don't be too hard on him. Militarily speaking, that makes a lot of sense, unless you're one of the 8. Yes, sir.
Have you met them lately or talked to them? Want to hear that story?
No, Colonel Lowndes unfortunately finished his career the same way he started the regimental command, as a colonel, and he never got promoted, which I hated for him. I don't hold anything personal. When we buried our last retrieved remains, was my medic, Spec 4 Moreland, Jim Moreland, who was from Alabama. I actually did the funeral. I'm an ordained minister, and Jim, 4 Marines came who were at Quezon during that battle and asked permission to meet with his family and asked them to forgive them because they couldn't come and rescue us. So it was tough on them kids. Marines don't hide well. That's not what they're trained to do. And it was very tough on those Marines when they were told we're not going. So I hold no animosity. Like I say, Colonel Lowndes had a decision to make, and he made a decision. And that's part of leadership. Some of it works out and some of it doesn't. 7 of us made it out, and we ran looking for him, though. 7 of us made it out of the TOC. Yes, sir.
What type of tanks were they? DC-34s?
No, sir. PT-76. Had a 76 millimeter gun on it. Somebody told me, that's not a very big gun. I said, have you ever stood at the end of one of them and let it shoot at you? They were PT-76s. No other questions. God bless y'all. Thank you very much for everything you do. Thank you, Carol.